Hello, hello. Welcome to another exciting episode with another exciting guest, or guests, I should say. We have multiple guests joining us today on our first international episode. As we may say, we will say, I've got my first international guest. I've got a dream team from New Zealand who run Take It Easy Tours. TakeItEasyTours.nz, my first .nz website to share with you. Now, I want to introduce you to a team of tourism professionals and tourism entrepreneurs, and that is exactly it gives me the good feels, because this is exactly why what motivated me to start Tourism Hub podcast, to get together with like-minded people in our industry, in Victoria and beyond the waters to New Zealand even, where we can discuss all things growth, opportunity, challenges that we've experienced. And I'm so happy and thrilled that Glenn, our lovely producer of the Tourism Hub, connected me to who, without further ado, I will introduce you to Jimmy and Jace, the tour operators behind Take It Easy Tours. Hello and welcome also to the complimenting gentleman, Glenn Allpress, who is also the marketing engine behind the dream team of Take It Easy Tours. Thank you so much for joining me on the Tourism Hub podcast.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Look, your journey. So I'll start with your connection, because we've only just met like 5 minutes before the episode. Your connection and your leading to tourism. So Jimmy or Jason, you can take the lead in sharing with us how you got started in tourism and led your paths to cross and start Take It Easy Tours.
All right. Well, it's quite a good story, really. We've all known each other since we're about 8 or 9 years of age, and we ended up playing representative football together, and that's where my first love of travel really started, getting out of town and having a good look around. Soon realised New Zealand was full of pretty awesome places, and the love of travel just continued on through school, and ended up with a Bachelor of Tourism degree down at Otago University there. Glenn also went to Otago Uni. And after that, saved a bit of money, and off I went on a 6-year adventure around the world, and came back. And Jason, as I said, we've been mates since a long, long time. I was working back in the New Zealand travel industry, and there was a local tour company from Wanganui, where we were both from, and Glenn himself. And we always said, once that comes up for sale, we'll buy it, eh? We'll have a crack and have a look into it. And I got this phone call one day, and I was, after 5 years, been with this one company, and the question was, do you want to do it? We didn't take long to say yes, and so we started from there, basically, getting right into it. We purchased the company. It had a good brand. It had been running for about 20 years. And we just stepped right into it. A little bit nervous, a couple of younger guys taking over an older market tourism company, but never looked back, basically. It's been 6 years now, and it's been a great journey.
Oh, well done. Congratulations. So, Jimmy, you had the interest in tourism and were already working for Take It Easy Tour before you acquired it. And was it the same for Jace?
No, absolutely not. So, My background is in broadcasting, so I worked for a local radio station for about 8 to 10 years, and absolutely loved it. Loved being around people, loved promoting my hometown. But Jimmy and I always just talked about going into business together. I'm not really sure why. He used to do 27-day tours of New Zealand, and then he'd come back home for 9 days. And when he was home for those 9 days, we'd quite often just kick back in the afternoon together and have a little chat and just sort of plot and plan how we were going to go into business together. So we were really fortunate that Take It Easy Tours came along. And then obviously, like Jimmy said, 6 years ago, it all started. I was lucky that I had Jimmy, who I like to think of Mr. Tourism New Zealand. So I had a wonderful teacher. And so he's just really showed me the reins, taught me how to drive a bus 6 years ago. And from there, we've just really got stuck into it and had an amazing time traveling our beautiful country and also getting overseas as well.
Love it. As someone new to the industry, Jace, how did you find that comparatively from your broadcasting industry? Do you find, because I know even from my husband or friends that are not in tourism, when you come into it, it's a really supportive, it's a supportive network, and I get the sense that that's the same in New Zealand. How did you find it coming in compared to other industries that you'd worked in?
It was incredible coming into tourism here in New Zealand. A lot of the operators nationwide all like to work with each other, all like to support each other, all like to help each other out. So I really found that quite amazing. Coming from radio, of course, there's a bit of ego in there. It's a bit dog eat dog kind of thing in radio. So to come into a tourism industry and have so many supportive people around was real uplifting and definitely made me feel like I made a great decision getting into the tourism industry.
Excellent. That is something that I would have imagined for you to make that transition, that would have really solidified that this is where I need to be, particularly fulfilling a lifelong dream that you've known each other since children. And then Glenn, who's come into the picture, and we will talk about, I mean, your website is really, really impressive. As soon as you kind of land on that, it was just, I felt like I had a New Zealand experience just from visiting your site, which, as you know, with my digital Desi hat on, that is something, you know, when we're talking about visitor experience, it does start there. Is that so? How did you come into the mix, Glenn? And you're based in
Victoria.
Australia, aren't you? In Victoria. Oh, welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes.
So obviously we grew up together, and I regularly visit the guys back home, and you know I've seen them evolve over the last 6 years. You know, we always talk about what they've been doing, how they're progressing, and you know, there sort of came a time where it got quite exciting where the business was at, and it felt like it was the right time for me to sort of step in and assist them with an area where the business hadn't focused on, which was the digital and strategy side. So the growth, you know, that achieved to date was all natural growth. It wasn't web or digital related. So, you know, hearing the experience and the growth they'd had, I thought, well, what an opportunity to come in, step in with some good mates of mine, and really assist them to take the business to that next level and show the world, show New Zealand, you know, what we do through digital. And, you know, we're just starting out that digital journey. That website you're looking at is a COVID project. We're really proud of it, and it's just the start of our digital strategy. So, yeah, that's how I got involved.
Excellent. And speaking of COVID projects, and we'll definitely explore, and this is what got me excited, as you will know, Glenn, our Glenn from behind the scenes, we're in Victoria, and we're certainly we're having a second go at lockdown in a more severe way. So the tourism industry here in Victoria has been quite decimated by this second wave that we've experienced. So you being ahead of the journey and going, I guess for you, Jimmy, for this, for the business, when COVID hit in New Zealand, how did that impact your business, and where was your key markets at the time, like pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, well, it seems like quite a long time ago now, doesn't it? We went from hustling and humming along real nice to zero, as in most tourism operators would have, of course, here and over there. So we were mainly still doing New Zealand tours, but we had a couple of international lined up. Tasmania was our first major tourism to get tour to get affected by COVID situation. And so we just all sort of banded together and put our three heads together and thought, rightio, we'll ride this wave. We'll see what's going to come out the other side, but we use it as an opportunity to see how we can sort of, again, release ourselves once we've come through this awful situation.
And did you have a large international clientele before COVID? Like, what was the breakdown of your markets and visitors that would go on a Take It Easy tour?
Yeah, so we're mainly, a majority was our New Zealand domestic senior market, and that hasn't changed pre or post COVID, but we did get international groups come over. We had a large Welsh group that we looked after not long beforehand. And as I said, sort of planning a few international trips away. But our bread and butter is still our local domestic market.
And that's excellent to hear, because for tour operators that rely on international visitors for their tours, and I know for tour operators, particularly, again, those that I know and love dearly here in Victoria that had 95% international guests that now, that's not looking too promising and need to focus on a domestic and a local market. It's really promising to see that has always been your business and your bread and butter. So there's opportunity there it's a very overused word of the pivot, but certainly to see the opportunities and use COVID downtime, as you have done with really leveling up your digital assets within your local market. So what is the other question that I had for you was through trade. Do you do a lot of work through trade channels and distribution through online travel agents and the whole wholesale and network? Is that something that is the core of your business, or do you do a lot of your business directly?
Majority is definitely directly. Luckily for us as well, we didn't have to go down. We were looking into that option, down the trade sort of option, but we just had enough demand with what we were doing, and so we decided, well, we'll keep it simple, keep it direct at the moment. Didn't try to sort of complicate things too much, and it seemed to be working very well for us. So sort of don't want to, if it's not broke, you don't want to fix it, do you?
And that's it. Something else that I'm curious about, when you say when it's not broken, don't fix it. When you take over an existing business that had 20 years kind of on the board, and you being there, what was the first thing that you did want to fix when you jumped on board with the team there between yourself and Jason? What were some of the changes that you did make in the business immediately and then down the track?
That's quite a tough one. It was a husband and wife team that ran Take It Easy tours before us. Wonderful people. Absolutely just lovely people who did a fantastic job touring around New Zealand and overseas as well with the senior market. A lot of them, they're dear friends. So once we stepped in, obviously it was very new for us. We hadn't really worked with the senior market at all before. So it was a case of sort of just learning as much as we could off the previous owners, and then probably with Jimmy's experience and the amount of travel that he's done around New Zealand, maybe just allowed us to find some different destinations and travel to a few more unique places and maybe get off the beaten track just a wee bit more. And because Jimmy had built up some really, really fantastic contacts around New Zealand, it made it a bit more accessible for us to get into some more of these out of the reach places. So maybe we made it a slightly bit more adventurous, and maybe we challenged the seniors a little bit more while still taking it easy, of course. I think that was probably one of the main things that we did, was just push the boat out a little bit more and just say, hey, look, we're young, you can trust us, just grab our hands and let's go. Off we go. Yeah.
Oh, good on you guys. This is something that I think, particularly now for like, and through my own experience, we had in our ballooning journey, we had a significant Chinese market, like many businesses did in Australia, and that happened like the immediate impact of what a market that represents 50% of your business, the border shut, they can't get into the country, that can have some dire consequences. In what you're sharing, that this has always been the case for you in reaching your ideal customer and keep on, like, how is your business in terms of repeat business or the word of mouth? Do you have a lot of your clients coming back to experience the different tours that you have on offer?
Yeah, that's totally it. So we're very, very lucky, have a very, very loyal, we don't really want to call them customer base because they're really like our family or like our friends now. But we're lucky we get a lot of repeat business. And of course, then they like to tell some of their friends and family that may be from outside of town. So it's sort of, we've been lucky where it's just sort of naturally grown for us through word of mouth. I think the main struggle is making sure that we can keep finding new places and new destinations to go while we're stuck here in New Zealand, so we can keep showing people other interesting parts of the country.
So good. And when you relaunched and when you came back out of your first and only lockdown, and hopefully it stays like that for you, that you don't get to experience, and hopefully Victorians don't get to experience the third time. But what were some COVID changes that you made in your tour, in your operation? Were there some things that you now do differently as a result of this pandemic that we're experiencing?
I think, people are asking a little bit more questions about, is it social distancing and, is it safe to travel in groups? So, we've got to be a little bit more regulated in that sense. We've got to understand, Auckland is still in stage 2.5, so we need to ensure that, we plan tours outside of those areas. But the general feeling in the market was when the lockdown ended, people wanted to get out and about. They were ready to go. They'd been locked down and the demand instantly returns. And we actually saw that in Victoria after the first lockdown. When they released lockdown, demand returned across a lot of industries. So, it's business as normal with those social distancing and contact tracing items involved.
Yeah, I guess that's something that we can say to you guys as well. Hang on in there. We can't imagine how frustrating and challenging it must be for you guys over there. But there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you just work hard and put maybe some new plans in place and come up with an idea as to how you're going to really relaunch yourself as soon as you can, then I think you can feel confident that everything's going to come back and fingers crossed it'll be back to business as usual for everyone, and you'll be ripping into it again, which will be fantastic.
Oh, what good, solid, positive message for everybody, particularly, all around Australia, but particularly here in Victoria. When you've come to starting your business and taking that leap of faith, can you think of any other more challenging time than this for yourself? And what are some ways that you kind of went about to overcome it? And that's to anyone out there. Can you think of anything more challenging than this that happening to your business?
Definitely.
Yes, you go.
Okay. Definitely can't think of any other challenging time, maybe apart from learning to drive a big bus.
Yeah.
That was interesting at times. Also, when I didn't know how to drive a big bus, and I might send Jimmy down a street with some directions and then work out that maybe a bus cannot turn around at the end of the street. That might have been a challenging time for my friend. Yeah,
and that leads into what I was saying about working with friends. Great, we absolutely love it, but it does come with its challenges if things aren't quite going the way maybe you thought they should. It's to bring it, to put it on the table, basically from the word go, just say it. Just say it.
Yes, yes.
We'll work through it and move on and get better.
Absolutely. But yeah, COVID was definitely the hardest thing. The week leading into it, I was away in Rotorua. Jimmy was at home. We'd talk to each other each day, and we were just having email on email on email of things getting cancelled, and pretty much just went from having times where we almost didn't have enough drivers to help us out on some of the smaller scale day trips and things that we do to having absolutely nothing. So it was quite scary. Like Glenn touched on before, it was just a case of putting our arms around each other and just getting positive and working out what we can do with this downtime and how organised we can get, and what we can do to our business behind the scenes so that when we do get up and running again, we'll come back and we'll be better than ever.
And that is something else in terms of keeping your team motivated and keeping them, because this is another challenge when you're dealing with a lot of casual and contract staff, but you don't want, you want to keep everyone gainfully employed, but you kind of keeping them motivated or keeping them inspired that, hang in there, we'll get through this. Could you share anything that you did to maintain some level of momentum and motivation for your team?
I think the government in New Zealand was very proactive. They got out incentives to highly affected industries. So, it was just a matter of reassuring our staff that, hey, everyone's in the same position. During this time, we're going to use this time to build the long-term vision for the company. So rest assured, we'll come out of this. Everything's okay. And, we shared that vision. We shared the plan with them. We shared the new digital marketing strategies and sort of get everyone on board that company vision. And then when the market comes back and they start seeing things come to life, like, the new website, the new tours we're running, the new Christmas parties we're running, they're like, oh yeah, that's it. It's all coming together. And, the wheels just turn and get going again. So
going back to the same thing that Jimmy was saying, that whether it's in partnership in your, between the two of you or three of you, as well as your team, just being transparent and keeping the communication always open is really, really important. Don't suffer alone, or don't hide from the reality of what's happening either. But let them know in your plans is what I got from that, which is an important thing to share, because it can be easily, we are having almost another side crisis of just people's emotional health and mental health at the moment. Just speaking with, I think just not just in tourism or business owners, I think from every, from many different angles and generations, is that with yourselves, when it comes to keeping yourself inspired, what gets you out of bed, that keeps you going, that this happened but you can still band around together? Because what I see from you guys is that this, Take It Easy Toys being over through this was not even that wasn't even an iota of a thought.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Now, well, what personally got me carrying on and excited about it was just using the time to create different itineraries. Basically, a challenge to myself is like, right, New Zealand ain't big. We all know that. It's beautiful, but we've got it's quite a lot of repeat itineraries we do. So every day I'd be out there and just thinking of new ideas. When we come back, this is what we're going to do, and just different types of like mystery tours and things like that. Just anything different, basically, to pique the interest and keep it going, and that keep my sort of fire burning for it, basically, and just can't wait to get back out on the road.
And we also got to remember that we're lucky. We get to travel around New Zealand and overseas, but particularly around New Zealand, which is our home, our backyard. We love it. We're passionate about it. It's an absolutely beautiful place, and I get to do it with my best mate as well. So if you just take everything back and say, look what you do have, you're doing something that you're really passionate about with your best mate, and you're showing people your beautiful country, then you're lucky just to be able to do that.
Focus on what you have. And I also love that you've taken this not only because it gets busy in a tour operation, so all these wish list things, these growing wish lists that you just lost, you couldn't carve out the time to create these new experiences. Suddenly it's like I'll seize the opportunity not only to level up on our digital, but you've created some new. And what I love about what you've shared is theming experiences. Tell us a little bit more about that. Have you trialed that before? You were saying like a mystery tour. Did I catch there?
Yeah. Well, last year was our first, because we do a lot of day trips and shows and things, as Jay said before, and we've done the odd mystery day trip. But I was like, well, that's always a great hit. Why don't we push the boat out a wee bit? And that we wrote our first mystery itinerary, and that was 5 days in length, and it sold out like wildfire. So I was like, okay, go along, see how Jace took the tour, and the feedback was just amazing. So it's like, rightio, this is a wee opportunity here, and we've got another one lined up. Can't say too much, but already the interest. We just mentioned we're doing it again, and people are booking without knowing price or length of tour or anything. So we're lucky. We're lucky. It was good.
So this is like the old days. It doesn't happen anymore. I remember it, like you go on a mystery flight. You just turn up to the airport and you've got a mystery flight ticket. You don't know where you're going to go. This is the same thing. So you started with day trip. You've bought yourself a day trip, but you've got no idea where you're going that day. And now you're exploring with overnight, like 1 week. You've bought this. You just trust us. I've never heard of that before. That is just, where did that come from? Where was the aha moment for that? And how can
I guess maybe if we're being honest here, we would have been having to organise a day trip, and we wouldn't have known what we were going to put in our newsletter for that month. So we just said, hey, let's make it a mystery.
Brilliant.
Really quickly, and then
we'll work on it.
Yeah, and then we'll work it out. And then from there, they were just hugely popular. So that's when, Jimmy came up with the idea, hey, look, I think we should have a go at just making up a mystery one for the whole week. Let's just try. And fortunately,
there she goes.
It worked out well. So, we did it last year, and now we've got this one that's on the screen coming up next March. So it'll be exciting times. And I can tell you that where we are going is really, really exciting, and some places that certainly we haven't been to before. So, and I don't think many people in New Zealand would have been to before to some of these destinations. So, you're really looking forward to it. It should be great.
See, that just gives me like that just gets me so excited to see something like that. And just even last night, I spoke to tourism students and giving them, a lot of hope that you've made an excellent decision. And one thing was like, new experience, bespoke experiences will come out of this. And here it is, the next night you tell me about mystery tours. I think it's brilliant. Well done. So when you come to experimenting, you sound like you're really ready to give different things a go. How important is that in our industry to just trial different things as you've done with the mystery tour?
Well, yeah, I think it's very important basically to stay ahead of the game. It's just like Australia, there's a lot of competition out there between companies, friendly competition, of course, especially in a senior market here. There's a lot of good other companies out there, and we're all writing good itineraries, but we're trying to be sort of ahead of each other, and I believe we're getting there quite regularly. It's with the mystery, it just gave me an opportunity to really try different things, and the feedback, as I said from the first one, they talk to their friends, and now their friends are demanding that we run that as a tour, just not a mystery. Now we know where we're going, but we want to do it type of thing. So just staying ahead of the game, basically, try new things. You have to keep it fresh, keep it interesting.
And listen to your customers.
Listen to your customers. Glenn, if we could talk to you for a sec about where you got really inspired from your digital background, and where you saw how you took the opportunity of COVID to create this, experience, and, that visitor journey that's, from an online perspective that, we call the pathway to saying, yes, I want to book now. Tell us a little bit about your wish list that came into fruition, that in the use of your time to lift the brand's digital presence and footprint.
I think the brand itself, the guys are who they say they are. They're great blokes. The tours, they take it easy, and the tours are family oriented, like a family feeling. So I think that wasn't reflected on the old website, and taking the quality of what they do and trying to bring that to life was the key objective on the new website, because the product the guys have is great, and the website needed to portray that. So we try to personalize the USPs of the company to be consistent with the guys' values. The tours themselves, the tour detail required. I sat down with the guys and said, what does every customer ask? What do they want to know? Let's put the answers on the website to ensure that those questions are answered. Visual assets, what visual assets do you have, guys? Let's get them organized into tour folders. Let's make sure everything's easy to access to publish on the website. And it was just a step-by-step process. And then from there, we've managed to build a system to efficiently get content and tours to the website. So it's not so much of a hassle anymore. It's more of a defined process. We have a tour, we write the itinerary, we collect the images, and then it goes live. So it was, building a good website is, not an overnight project. It took us around about 12 weeks, from asset creation to content writing to publishing, and here we are now for launch and ready to continue to build on it.
Well done. Content creation, and I like how you said asset building, and that's something that we talk a lot about, really recognizing and taking stock of your digital assets. When it comes to content building, what are some systems you've taken in place now to be consistent with that? Because you're going to get busier from now on, so that it doesn't you get busy and then it's easy to set and forget. What are some things that you've done amongst you and the team to plan that out in your digital strategy that our folks listening can take?
We have weekly, we call them, in my agency, we call them sprints, where we catch up every week, and each week there's a list of tasks that we assign out to either Jimmy, Jason, or myself. And whether that task is writing a tour itinerary or publishing that itinerary, we delegate those responsibilities. And then at the end of the week, we come back and make sure those tasks are complete. And then we go again and again and again. So, for example, the week before last, Jimmy said, hey guys, we need some gift cards. Christmas is coming up. So we then discussed the solution. We found some software, we put it into Sprint, and a week later we now have gift cards live on the website. So it's just taking it bit by bit, breaking down the task, allocating out the responsibilities, and then just getting it done and going again next week, the week after, and by the end of the year you've got a 100-page website with videos, gift cards, itineraries, blogs, and you're away.
Love that. So is gift card and giving gift vouchers, is this the first Christmas that you will have that available, or you've always had it but just not delivered online?
That's right. It was just on a rough piece of A4 paper that I would get a biro out and say, "Merry Christmas, you've got a $50 voucher."
Yeah.
So that's where it's quite exciting to have our good mate Glenn along to help us, take it to the next level and sort of raise the bar and make things a lot more professional and be presented how we want them to be presented. Rather than me trying to hack up a piece of paper with some old huckery scissors. So
Brilliant. I think your Christmas is about to change, having that available now and easily accessible online, especially with your mystery tour. Like, who doesn't want to go on that? I love what you've shared, that you like the regular thing that keeps you on task for the three of you, but your leadership team within the business is that you meet twice a week, the start of the week, and you do your sprint. So just to confirm, and this might be a stupid question, but is sprint like a program that you use? Is that the strategy that you use, that you have?
A sprint is a digital method to complete a series of work. So during a sprint, you'll schedule a certain amount of tasks to achieve during that sprint. It might be 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Our sprint is 1 week, and we meet each Friday to deliver our tasks and ensure they went well. Do we have any obstacles? How can we do it better next time? And then we use the remaining time to plan the next week's sprint. So, if you leave things too much longer in our business, things don't get done. And a week is a suitable time. In different industries, you might open that up to 2 weeks or 4 weeks, but for our business, a week is a really good turnaround time.
I think that's excellent. A lot of people to keep each other accountable as well, because it feels good when you've got to kind of show up and tell someone what's on your to-do list. It's easier to get it done when you've got to voice it out loud and tell us, I did my part. That's really, really great stuff. So I love that whole sprint concept. I think that's great because it can it's acceleration, really, just like the word sprint represents. It accelerates you forward, the design sprint.
There
so I'm going to
go.
do a little, really, was it anything? So I'll go around the room for a little excellence round as we wrap up. So Jimmy, in the beginning, taking over this business, was there anything that was holding you back?
Anything holding me back?
Yeah.
What?
Money.
I knew, of course, there was a different market that I was about to enter. I started guiding over in Europe. I'm doing party festival tours, so Oktoberfest, Pamplona, what have you. Then I came back to an adventure tour company in New Zealand doing camping tours. So that was hosting younger sort of internationals from all walks of life. And then it's like, wow, okay, this is going to be a bit different. The pace is going to slow down a wee bit. And, you're going to know a lot of these people, and they're going to know your parents and your grandparents, and you're going to need to be nice and sharp. And then I was creating in my brain, I'm used to running young people sort of itineraries and things like that, and just wasn't holding me back, but it was just a bit of a sort of a thought in the back of the head. It was a little concerning how that jump was going to be made, but the confidence came pretty early with the great feedback since we started, and our lovely seniors, we call them sometimes, they loved having us on board. They felt safe. We got their confidence nice and early, and there's just no looking back, really. Once we knew we were all good to go, we were off, and here we are today.
So good. Did it take a lot of convincing for you, Jason, to jump on board, or was it like a say yes and we'll work out how as we go?
No, I was in straight away. When, like Jimmy mentioned before, when he was doing his 27-day trips with that younger market, he'd have to come home for the 9 days in between to see his mum and give her a hug. And that's when we would chat about going into business together. And we had a little notebook where we scribbled all sorts of plans and aspirations and silly things after a couple of beers on that piece of paper, and the Take It Easy tours was on the very first page. So when the opportunity came, it was just like, yep, let's go for it. I'm keen. Let's have a crack.
You know, it's a testament, having a vision, having a goal, having the dream. It all, like, if it's not there in the first place, how could it ever evolve? And to just see this play out in your journey is a really wonderful story. And I'm so thrilled to be chatting with you guys. Glenn, was it the same for you? Was there anything holding you back when it was kind of like the buddies have tapped you on the shoulder, or you're watching this evolve? I guess you kind of saw it from afar as well as up close, the growth and the next level that they were taking the tour company.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, the guys grew because of the product they deliver, and their personalities are exceptional, and it was natural growth, and that's what excited me, is that these guys can grow this quick and do such a good job without sort of that digital background, and that's what excited me. And the passion they have for their customers and the experiences they give to the market they service, it's honestly, you know, it brings a little tear in my eye sometimes when you watch some of the video footage. You'll see some of the photos of the people, and they're staring out at the water or the nature, and you just think you guys have delivered a real gift to these people, and you know, I want to be involved in that. And off we went.
Off we go. I'll start with you, Glenn. What's some of the best advice you've ever received in business or otherwise?
I'd say 2 bits of advice. One for salespeople is, on the first day of your job, make sure you look at the sales board and look at the person at the top and set your desk up next to them. And the second piece of advice is understand your cash flow numbers. It's imperative you are on top of your cash flow, so you can make business decisions accurately and not put the business at risk or under unnecessary strain. So those are 2 bits of advice I'd give.
Excellent, especially to prepare you for unprecedented circumstances. Having your finger on the pulse with your cash flow that's really good, solid advice. How about you guys? Did you have any gems, any when someone, like, for me to say to you, what's the best advice you've ever received? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Probably this guy that we met down on the West Coast when Jimmy and I were actually just going on a private little drive, a week-long holiday ourselves, when before we'd even taken over Take It Easy Tours, and we just met this real Kiwi joker, this bloke down at the beach, and we'd happened to get our van stuck, and he just came along and he just pulled us out of the sand, and then he took us to this fishing spot, and he showed us all this beautiful river mouth and taught us a few little tricks about how to catch fish in this particular river mouth. And he left, and we just were so grateful and said thank you. And he just said, mate, just pass it on. Whenever you've got a chance, just pass it on, you know. Spread the love, show people that you care, be nice, just pass it on. And that's something that stuck with me for a long time. And I loved that dude. He was awesome. I'd really like to see him again. Great man.
Oh, how good is that? It's like yeah. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. Pay It Forward.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pass it on. Pass it on. How about you, Jimmy? Through all this, pre or during, was there any gold nuggets that someone shared with you that you refer to?
Yeah, well,
or share?
First, yeah, it's nothing crazy or anything like that, but a lot of people that are already in business just kind of see just small steps. You know, you're going to get excited. You're going to see your bank balance increase, and you're going to say, wow, this is almost too easy. But you soon learn there's a lot of different aspects in business and things that can happen. So the small steps really just stuck in my brain. It's like, right, in a year, you're probably not going to be where you're dreaming right now, but just take the small steps and you'll definitely get there. So Glenn himself has actually come on board and just really helped to implement that. Basically, he's just been such a great mentor for Jason and I mean, as you know, we've known each other for many a year, and he's come on board and just been the third leg, if you could say that. He's really dominated what he does, and I just believe we're a great team and we all love doing it, which just goes to show, you know.
And how important that is, right? It's so lovely to see it play out, that you to always be looking for people, to surround yourself with people for what you don't know when you are experiencing growth. We don't know what we don't know, but bringing in someone like Glenn into your team, you can really see that, you've got this beautiful balance amongst the three of you, which is great. And I think what you're sharing too, it's inspiring for anybody that's always had their dream of starting an experiential, getting into the industry and starting their own dream tour company. That, start small and surround yourself with really good people. And if someone's giving to you, pass it on. Like our friend, did you even know his name?
No.
We just call him Buzz.
No name. But
brilliant.
I think the wonderful thing about your market too, you'll always be, because it's always lovely to be surrounded by elders, like not as seniors, that they would bring such a wealth of experience and advice every single day. Like, you must always be surrounded by nuggets like that from people that have kind of had a full life and now enjoying it, doing things like, doing a mystery tour and doing, traveling around their own backyard.
Yeah, and it's a thrill. They've lived their life. They've done a lot of travel, and we are still managing to find them new places, new locations that they haven't seen in their backyard, and it blows their minds. And you see that, and it's like, that's cool.
That is so cool. And there's so much I love, but that's the other thing, that for people that can't travel abroad at the moment, that have spent their hard-earned dollars traveling overseas now, are looking to what they can do within their own regional areas, that you can really fill in many gaps in the market and potentially even grow to new markets. So good. Now, I'm really with Glenn on board and bringing in and streamlining, and that he's in stage 4 lockdown and you're over in New Zealand and you're still creating weekly sprints and magic in your business. What are some internet resources that you use daily? Are they go-to kind of resources that you couldn't live without in your business that help things run smoothly and keep you on task?
Yeah, I mean, the products we use, couldn't live without Google Drive. Couldn't live without, from a digital marketing point of view, we use SEMrush, Ahrefs, just to keep an eye on competitors. And it's important to follow thought leaders on LinkedIn. I find, find your specialists who put out good content, and make sure you follow them, because they always have new ideas. There's plenty out there. It's just making sure you follow the right ones.
That's excellent, because I love you really look to, because even what you shared with your advice around with the, if you're in sales, go find the top, the top salesperson and go learn from them. But also, digitally speaking, from your resources, go find experts on a platform like LinkedIn and follow what they're doing, and always be learning, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of content out there. And with the gift card project, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We found some software out there that was recommended by someone in the industry, and did a bit of reading and research and went forward with that recommendation. So leveraging off someone who had already used it and had a good experience with it is always a recommendation.
That's another great thing, because booking systems is something I can run full day-long training on booking systems and operators sharing what's good, what's bad. With your booking system, you haven't gone and tried to tag on your gift card experience. You've just gone and look, what's the best just for gift card solution that I can add to our experience. Was the booking system and the process, was that the same, or you've always had a solid booking system in place for your company?
That's a more a work in progress.
Yeah.
Look, I think you got to be realistic with budgets and technology. When you want something, you need to decide, you know, what's my budget for it, and you know, if I'm going to go and custom build something, it's going to cost me more. If I'm going to go find something that already exists, it might not have the full functionality for now, but it can do the job. So you got to weigh up those options and go forward with the right solution. And we made some of those decisions with software, websites, and even some of the buses we own. You know, making those purchases, you need to weigh up. You know, do you finance it? How is it going to work into cash flow and things like that?
Oh, look, you mentioned fleet and having my long affiliation with ballooning and just, you know, the dormant, like just the registration on, you know, fees on our vehicles while, you know, week long, like months now of kind of sitting there. It's been, that's significant. Yeah, significant decisions, and I like it. You've got a digital man, but who's also very good with looking at making sense of the dollars and the cents. Really good, solid advice there, and I see that too with booking systems. It is you have to take your time in your research there, because even if you're buying something off the shelf, if it doesn't meet your needs, you could be losing more money than what you think that you're saving in some instances.
Yeah.
So good. Now, are you guys so we've talked about internet resources, a book, like is there a book that you could share to our listeners that you have that has made, you know, a profound difference in your lives? Is there a book that you could share? Do you like to read?
I'll have a crack. Yeah, I like to read. I can't say I read a huge amount, but I do like to read, and I'm always fascinated in more sort of life stories, autobiographies, that sort of thing. So if we're thinking about tourism, there's a great book that you could read called Only Two Seats Left, and it's by John Anderson, and he is a Kiwi bloke who actually started Contiki over in the UK. So a real interesting read, unbelievable entrepreneur, had some incredible highs and some massive lows as well. So it does teach you a few good lessons in business. There it is there. But yeah, that's a fascinating read and a book that I did really enjoy.
So good. I'm getting that tonight on the Kindle. Only 2 shifts left. Thank you, Jason. Any other any books you could recommend?
Glenn
or Jimmy?
My book reading is blogs and followers, guys. So yes, that's my space. I'm a digital man.
Who's your go-to leading digital person that you really have? Who is someone that we should look to for some digital inspiration? Glenn?
Historically, I followed Matt Cutts from Google. He's a leader in SEO, and you know, if you want the facts about SEO and search engine optimization, he's your go-to man. And I also follow some different business leaders out there, more active business owners in Melbourne who own multiple agencies, and follow them on LinkedIn. So that's my man Matt Cutts right there.
Matt Cutts. Well, you're my three main men right now. You've given me so many wonderful insights and have been so wonderfully sharing with your experience. And I think you've always ran your business in the way that a lot of tourism operators right now that relied on inbound tourism are aiming to be for the next little while, so they many of myself included have taken a lot of gold nuggets from you, particularly around anything from trying new things. I mean, creating new, don't rely dormant on your signature tours, like always be creating and sharing new experiences. I love that you really look after. I mean, you had to catch yourself out that you don't even feel congruent calling your customers your customers. You like, it's even like it feels weird even calling them your customers, and that really comes across. I really love that they're part of the Take It Easy Tour family just as much as you are. And also, I mean, the big one was your weekly sprints, just keeping yourselves on your A game to keep propelling yourselves forward, the way that you engage and communicate amongst each other. Really good stuff. Congratulations. I thank you so much for joining me. And to stay connected with you, is it okay? We'll put in the show notes your LinkedIn profiles and definitely all your socials and that beautiful website that will give many other tour operators some website envy, let me tell you. It's great.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, thank you very much. This is the first time for Jimmy and I to be a part of a podcast, and it's neat to talk to our friends over in Australia. So rest assured, when we do get over to Australia, we'll come see you in Melbourne, and we'll definitely be jumping on a hot air balloon. And likewise, making their way over to New Zealand. Don't be afraid to get in touch with us. We'd love to meet you and show you around. And again, thanks very much for having us.
Thank you so much. Especially that will be, I have a feeling we'll be our own little bubble. I think when international first opens, that the first international market will be New Zealand and Australia for each other. So I'll definitely can't wait to put New Zealand on the map to come over and visit myself. So much gratitude. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's listening to the Tourism Hub podcast. You've just listened to Jimmy, Jason and Glenn, the A-team behind TakeItEasyTours.nz. Took so much away from that, and I hope you're just as inspired as I am, particularly to my dear, wonderful tourism community in Victoria and beyond at the moment. Thanks for listening, guys, and until next time, be excellent today and every single day. Thanks so much. Bye for now.